It just fulfills every ounce of my being to stay up till freaking 11:30 to watch this dog shit product.
That's what's great, Adam, because as a Knowles247.com instant reaction reviewer, you get to stay up late no matter what your personal life dictates, and you get to watch some of the worst football that's ever been put on recorded television, because Florida State, they lost to SMU 42-16. I think every person on staff predicted Florida State to lose. They somehow lost in a more disgusting fashion than we thought. This is one of the worst football teams in the country with one of the not worst rosters in the country. We have litigated many times throughout the weeks of Florida State's pratfalls, missteps, miscalculations in the offseason leading to the 2024 football season. We've litigated that. We've talked about that. It's been a topic on the message board, it's been a topic on a podcast, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is not a 1-4 roster that loses to SMU, an SMU team that is worse than what we thought they'd be at the beginning of the season by 42-16. You are getting so much less out of the guys that you have. It is alarming from a coaching staff that their hallmark is development, coaching, scheming. The year-to-year drop-off from the 2023 Florida State Seminoles to the 2024 Florida State Seminoles is historic. You were talking about one of the most historic drop-offs in the history of college football, year to year. That the answers that I'm trying to ascertain are so in the air, I can't even begin to explain what has happened. It is a abject failure of coaching, development, everything. Every single aspect of your program has failed you in an embarrassing fashion. In prime time, over and over and over again, and there is no hope in sight. It is disgusting. We are in DEFCON, whatever the worst DEFCON is, you are in that DEFCON as we speak. DJ Uiagalelei was finally benched after the most comical, terrible play of all, where even somebody who is committed to him had to say, I can't do it. It would be too ridiculous to play you after this 85-yard pick six after the drop punt. It's crazy. And I will say this. I was at my father-in-law's birthday party for the first half of this game. I only saw the second half. So for you poor people that had to watch the entire game, I was ready to kill a drifter out of anger after watching the second half of this game. So this is going to be an interesting instant reaction, because I'm going to need the first half spoon-fed to me, and we can all coalesce and have group therapy over the second half. Adam, this is an inflection point, a negative inflection point, more so than I think we all thought. Like, this is bad. This is very, very bad. Adam, your thoughts on that?
I told everybody here 4 weeks ago or whatever it was, this is a lost season. Give up. Go find something else to do on your Saturdays, and I wish that I could. God, I wish that I could. This is as horrible freaking product of football as I can recall seeing. Like, somebody said it on X, and I've seen it on Discourse, and this is easily worse than anything I saw Willie Taggart roll out there. Like, not even close. Now, I mean, just as far as like, I don't know, like bull crap, like at least we're not lined up backwards, and I mean, we can actually run like
that play got positive yardage.
We can actually like run. We can actually like hand counter off like you couldn't with Willie, but I don't know, man. This is something else. I mean, this is everything I've expected since they shamed themselves against Boston College. Like, I knew this was coming. This wasn't. There's no magic bullet. Playing Brock's not going to magically change things. No. Like, getting Jeremiah Byers and Alex Atkins back on the sideline wasn't going to matter. There is no magic pill or whatever that's going to fix this. They clearly, I don't know. I mean, they built a really bad roster and they did a really bad job preparing themselves for the season. And here we are. And you're going to go 1-11. And you're, I don't know, like at what point. I mean, they're 1-4 right now. And I know all the conversation on the ask hard questions and what fire. I mean, like, well, no. Like, people are like, fire Mike, like fire coaches. But I mean, like, at what point do that? And everybody's like, well, you don't have the money to do it. You can't afford it. You just give it. Like, shit, man. Like, you can't go 1-11.
No,
you can't go 1-11. Like,
you'll probably sneak up on Charleston Southern or something like that. But no, like,
seriously,
I don't know. Like, you're looking at 2 wins. You're looking at a 2-win season with and that's what the thing I want to talk to Kevin about.
In year 5.
No, year 5 with
year 5.
And you're talking about like a roster that is, you've had the
$13 million invested in this roster.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
$13 million.
This is not a 1-4 roster. Like, I know that if you go back and you look at the season, it's like, oh, I wish we would have done this with Nick Skirton. I wish we would have done this with Samuel Okunlola. I wish we would have done this with our quarterback. Fine, fair enough. And of course, watching them in this season, you have a better perspective of what you would have done in the offseason before. This is not a 1-4 roster. This is a coaching failure.
Yeah,
this is a massive coaching failure.
Right.
This is not, you are getting so much less out of the guys that you have from a coaching staff that their hallmark was development, that it is visually alarming.
So like you haven't held your coaching staff accountable for recruiting like over the last whatever years. And like I'm not as invested in the whole like recruiting conversation as so many other people are. Like, I'm frustrated. They need to recruit better. That's just what it is for me.
Mm-hmm.
But other people like live and die by it. I'm just not there with all that. But like, you didn't hold coaches accountable with that stuff. Like, so clearly now that's leaked into you haven't held coaches accountable for what else? Like, clearly now you haven't held them accountable for the on the field product either. Which means, have you been holding yourself accountable for the effort that you're putting into building this offense and building the structure? Like, man, the offense built for playmakers looks like an offense built for me almost. Like, good Lord. It just looks like they are just completely unprepared.
Kev, I want your thoughts on this because I think that is one of the most stark for Florida State fans, especially because we have been cursed with being the night game for so many, is that every single game that you watch before the Florida State game, every single team, whether they're winning or losing the game you're watching, looks infinitely better coached than ours.
Look, I'm going to be straight up. There are some things football wise where they should be embarrassed as play callers, as coaches, that you might not be able to see. Like, for 2 games in a row now, a team has been able to motion their tight end out one-on-one and get your red shirt freshman linebacker, who you've said is a developmental guy, one-on-one in space against a receiving tight end. That has happened twice. Talk about not putting your guys in a position to succeed. These players are not doing it. Let's be real. They're not doing it, but these coaches are not putting them in position to succeed. You know what SMU did? And I'm going to have to rewatch this because I do think they played a little games with this. But they did every single third down. They mugged up their linebackers in the A-gaps, and they brought pressure and gave you man coverage. And for, 12, 13 third downs, Florida State had 0 answers to that. Now, that might be on DJ, but the one time he actually got the ball out of his hands, he threw it to a triple covered person. That's someone who's not prepared. That's someone who doesn't know who his hot routes are. That's a team that doesn't have man beaters ready. Virginia Tech did that exact same thing against Miami. And you know what Cam Moore did? He drove the ball down the field and he scored a touchdown because he's a quarterback that has a pulse. He's a quarterback that was prepared to see man coverage of all things on a freaking third down. These players aren't put in a position to succeed. These coaches are failing at putting them in a position to succeed. They're failing at every aspect of their jobs. These kids are not prepared mentally. They're not prepared physically. And the plays that you're calling, the defenses you're calling are so predictable that they can do just very simple motions and get any matchup that they desire without question, without any hesitation. They can get basically any one-on-one matchup that they want. That should never happen.
No,
That should
beyond talk. Oh.
the offense. How many times have you seen a playmaker be in a position to make a play? You spent 4 weeks trying to get Malik Benson open on a glance RPO. He couldn't do it. So now you got a transfer redshirt freshman Jalen Brown running glance RPOs because he's the only person that's able to get open on these things because your guys can't beat man coverage one-on-one. You have no answer. You've waited this long. We could tell you that Kyle Morlock was just not going to be in a position to be successful for you. I feel bad for the kid because you kept putting him in positions.
Not
He
anymore.
shouldn't have been in the game. He should not have been in the game. He should have been in the game 4 weeks ago. Honestly, he should have ever been on this football team. He's not there. He's not the player you thought he was. You're putting the poor kid in a position to get ridiculed online because he's just not it. It took you until 1-4 to put some of your true freshman tight ends in there. You're slow to make changes. You're too stubborn to make changes. And it's too late. It's too late. It's embarrassing. You look bad. The fact that you thought DJ was going to come in and win a football game with the rest of this roster is an embarrassment as a coaching staff. No offense to DJ. He just wasn't the guy that's going to elevate this roster, and you put him in a bad position. You lied to him. You made him look worse than he is, and he's not good to begin with. They have failed on every single level of this football team. You are 1-4 against a not good schedule, and it is embarrassing, and they should be embarrassed. Sorry.
I agree. I know you're 100% right because it's not when you get less out of what you have, there needs to be serious questions asked. And Adam, let's go through the game chronologically. The game starts.
I love it.
As little as we can, unless you have larger talking points you want to get through.
No.
Because how did they start? What did they see? What success did they have? And how did it fizzle out so quickly? What did you see?
What SMU went down and scored right away, right?
They were 7-0, and then Florida State answered.
Let's talk about my wainscoting. Yeah, I like that. SMU went down and scored right away. Was that off of was the first drive off of the flea flicker, or was that
no? Second touchdown.
That was the second touchdown. Yeah, broken coverage, missed assignments up and down the field.
Yeah, ton of them. They just kept happening. Shut up about the media. Like, that's jeez Louise, get over yourself. So SMU went down and scored. Florida State came out. They ran some inside zone, some outside zone. Kind of what we saw last week, game plan wise. Then they popped in a couple. They popped in a couple glance RPOs. Hit a glance RPO to Kentron for the touchdown. I mean, it was typical stuff. Same stuff we've seen every week. A little bit more RPO glance built in. DJ had a couple of keeps this week on the RPO triple option stuff.
How did that look?
I mean, slow and lumbering because of who's running it. And then teams just took it away because they don't respect him to run with the football at all. Like, he's just not there. I mean, he's just not. Man, I don't want to dunk on the kid. I don't want to dunk on any of these players.
No, and that's fine. I get that.
He's just not good, and he's just not good.
He's not there.
I think he's been hurt. I don't think he's athletic. I think he's lost some athleticism because of an injury that hasn't been, for whatever reason, talked about. Like, there clearly was a knee brace that wasn't there in fall camp. Like, it's there. It just didn't just show up. Clearly he's banged up, and it's affecting his ability to kind of make plays. We've seen him be a runner. We all thought he would be a runner for this team. So, I mean, same game plan stuff that we've seen all along.
Right.
A little bit of inside zone, a little bit of outside zone, not as much counter early, some RPO stuff. As far as drop back passing game, like it's non-existent. They can't drop back and throw the football. So some sprint out stuff. DJ made it was kind of a miracle throw to Hakeem. Hakeem sat down, kind of boxed the dude out, made a nice catch on third down. And then after that, I mean, it's just the same old script. Like, I don't know how much. Kyle Morlock drops a pass, it gets picked in short field. Jaylen Brown runs a bad route on a corner route, and it gets undercut and it gets picked because DJ throws it behind him.
DJ has 5 throwaways, and then one of the most comical pick sixes I've ever seen in my entire life.
They do what Cal didn't do last week. But every other team has done. They mug the line of scrimmage, confuse the hell out of this offensive line and the pass protection, and they get immediate pressure all the time. Like it's just rinse and repeat. Like I don't understand. Mike has gotten up there every flipping week and talked about evaluating things. But so what are you evaluating? Like, you can't tell me that you're evaluating every 3 of the 14 or 4 of the 5 teams that you've lost to have mugged the line of scrimmage and sent pressure and broken down your pass protection with absolutely some of that. Some of that's because they're bringing 6, sometimes because they're bringing 7. Like, I get it, but
what are you evaluating? Yeah, there's nothing to evaluate.
How have you not evaluated some sort of answer to this point?
Right. There's no evaluation because teams are doing the same thing for 5 weeks and you're losing 4 of those. Like, they're bringing pressure. You have no hot routes. You have a quarterback that is befuddled by pressure. You see every single week in every other college football game, teams that get burned, that blitz incessantly. Against Florida State, you can blitz and do whatever you want and be successful. You can also not blitz and be extremely successful, like Cal did. Cal didn't bring that much pressure, and they were pretty successful.
Yeah.
Just wish their offense would have scored more than 9 points. That's the thing that's awful, is you can do whatever you want that makes you feel comfortable, and it will work against this Florida State offense and be successful. Kev, I want to talk to you because we saw a comedy of errors. We saw things that worked. They ended up not working after you did them for a while. The drive that DJ eventually got pulled on after it was so I don't even know if Mike wanted to pull DJ, but it was so comically bad that even a guy as loyal as him was forced to pull him. It was 5 throwaways in a row, and then a muff punt, and then an 85-yard pick six. I've never seen a sequence like it. Kev, what is your evaluation of the offense? What did they not do? And we saw Brock in there, which is what everybody wanted to see. Not that it was going to make this be a much better product, but we saw Brock also fall victim to a lot of the same things that every Florida State quarterback's fallen victim. He was a victim to pressure. There were no hot outlets. There was no pressure valves. So what did you see the Florida State offense fail at? And then what are you expecting going forward with Brock?
I mean, I'm not fully convinced that they continue going forward with Brock. I mean, they were showing DJ Uyunglele going off into the tent before he was pulled.
So you think that what happened was not a sea change DJ to Brock? It was DJ got dinged up. We're going to throw Brock in after one of the most comedically hilarious pick sixes in sequence that I've ever seen. We're not 100% convinced that we're actually going to go to Brock Glenn, is your point.
I mean, I'm not. Are you? I mean,
No,
it
but
seems
it's
mediated
just
by an
I just
injury,
want
but
people. I just want it to be said, which is also ridiculous.
so okay, yeah. Let's live in a fantasy world where he plays. He makes a change. Um,
God, dude.
the thing is, what are you gonna do differently? Like Brock Glenn, they're gonna run RPOs. They're gonna do this thing. If you
Same
think
thing.
about it, one of the drives was taken down because um, a false start and then a bad snap. One of the drives was taken down because you ran the same play and at the goal line twice in a row. Neither time worked. With a quarterback who can't make a cut, so like if the first hole's not there, he's not making a play. Like it's just I'm not convinced. We've seen what Brock Glenn has. He's probably a better player than he was against Louisville in the ACC championship, but he's still got the same strengths and same weaknesses. I still don't think them having no answers on third down is fully DJ's fault. The coach has to build in ways to beat that. The coach has to build in hot routes. He has to build in against Georgia Tech did it, and they knew the hot route was going to be the flare to the running back, and so they jumped it. And now DJ's not going to throw the flare to the running back, so he has no hot route. Or like they're either throwing a flare to the running back or a little slant across the screen. So teams just cheat inside and jump the flare out. Like they don't have answers. They don't know what they're doing right now. And I don't think Brock Glenn fixes that. It'll be nice to see a young guy. Maybe there's some energy, some emotion that comes with him being the starter. Maybe you can get something going because it just doesn't feel like these kids want to be out there. It doesn't feel like that offense in particular is excited to be on the field. And right now, like you're failing third downs and teams, it's not a secret what teams are doing. You just don't have answers to it. And that's a failure on all levels of a coaching staff. You don't have answers in red zone. You don't have answers on third down. And I just do not understand how you get to this point. Like
Mhm.
I have no real reason for why this is happening outside of just everybody at every level is failing. It starts with the head coach, number one. Number two is the quarterback. And those two things need to be evaluated.
Kev, let's talk about it because I was being very sincere in my point that when you watch a game with other teams, whether the other team is winning or losing, both look better than 2024 Florida State.
Yes.
And Florida State is like a top 15 NIL roster spend. Like this is a historical failure on the coach's part. What, if anything, can this team build upon? Last week, we thought the defense could be built upon. What was your opinion of the defensive performance this week, Kev? Then Adam, I'll get to you. You kind of cut out a little bit before that.
Mhm.
Kev, I want to get your opinion on what can actually be built upon with the players that you have that are much better than the result you're getting from these players. And what was your opinion of the defensive performance this week? Obviously, they took a step back.
Yeah, I mean, there was a mobile quarterback. That's going to be a problem. Cal's the only team you've played with a non-mobile quarterback, and it's the only team, the only team that you've had a lot of success
It's
with
so pathetic that
defensively.
it's that simple. It really is, dude. Like it's the one thing that every college football offense is adopting that you cannot that you cannot adapt to yourselves.
It's because so early on, I think they had more things in the defense, and there were just so many missed communications that it looks like they've just toned down the defensive complexity. They're running very few things right now, and
It's not
it's
like it's a hard
just
defense initially either, man. This isn't splitting the atom. Like that's what's crazy. You have to dumb down a dumbed down defense, right? Or
and
am
you
I
brought
being
these
too
kids in. This
facetious?
is yeah. I mean, it's not easy, right? Match principles are not the easiest thing to run in the world. It's easier to just drop back and cover three like a lot of teams do. Um, but it's something that you do. It's like your thing. It's like what you
Mhm.
hang your hat on. And so, like, it just doesn't feel like they have had answers when Memphis had ways to take advantage of those match principles. They didn't have something else to lean on. And eventually, Memphis, SMU just took advantage of them. SMU just knew exactly what they were getting. And it just makes it so easy on a quarterback when you know that. At one point, it looked like Florida State had like multiple spies. There were these like delayed blitzes that just weren't getting anywhere. And like, it's like the cornerbacks aren't getting helped with these delayed blitzes because you're just taking help over the top. So they have to be softer in coverage. But like your defensive line wasn't collapsing well enough on mobile quarterbacks. It's like, I don't know the answer defensively. Mobile quarterbacks are hard to defend against. I mean, that's the whole thing. But you need to have better blitz packages, better coverages. You need to throw in some zone blitz ideas to kind of change up looks and make it so these quarterbacks can't just drop back and know exactly what they're about to see.
Adam, what's your thoughts on the defensive play? They were obviously the winning group last week, and they took a step back. Kev says we talked about it in our group chat, man. The useless delayed blitzes, the undisciplined performance. There was a lot of things that the SMU offense tested you on that you failed tonight, at least from what I saw. Like I said, I watched from the second half on. What was your thoughts on the performance? I thought they took a clear step back, discipline, focus, everything like that. However, once again, when your offense is so inept, it pervades every aspect of your program and literally your morale is taken down by the factor of what you can't believe, because you know what you're going to run out there against, like with your team. Like your morale is dead. Like if you don't get a pick or anything like that. But what was your thought of the defensive performance, a unit that we were very high on last week?
I like this.
Didn't hit the mark this week.
I like that. Mike should have to wear orange. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm a mixed bag on the defense as a whole. Like it's aggravating that. I mean, I think the criticisms are fair about the defense, that it's stagnant. Where they line up, what you're going to get is what you're going to get. They line up where they're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
They line up and what they're going to be. Like, you know what you're getting down to down. But when it works, like, it works pretty good. Like, I mean, I thought I thought they got some stops tonight. Like, I thought they gave you a chance. You get a 3 and out, and then you get a freaking face mask penalty, like on a punt.
So weak.
So, I mean, it just, like, you get a stop, DJ goes in, or Morlock has a ball bounce off his freaking face mask right to the other.
It's demoralizing, right? Yeah.
Extremely. Like, but then there's times where it looks like they quit. Like Pat Payton in the beginning of this football game didn't look like he wanted to be there. Like, I didn't think he played very hard. I didn't think there was great effort. Couple runs right at him. Like, I just thought he was soft. And I mean, I don't know. Like Josh Farmer, sorry. Like, he's playing his tail off early in this game. And then, with spread quarterback like that, it kind of takes the D tackles out of the game. So they were able to kind of run away from him and not let him be as big of a factor in there. And you're still kind of soft on the edge. You know what you're getting with Marvin Jones Jr. You know what you're getting with these linebackers in space. Like, they're not great athletes. And guess what we saw? We've seen it 3 times now, I think, this season. A little nub slot on the ball to the right side. Quarterback's going to boot out. They're going to send it back out in the flat, running away from a linebacker with a little, just a semi pick, and it's going to be an easy 10 yards.
Game time, easy.
Yeah, and teams, but that's where some of the stuff like comes back. Like, yes, this defense works, and it can work. We've seen it be successful when you have really good personnel, but you don't have really good recruiters who have recruited really good personnel, and now you've got kind of like some really good, some average, some kind of middling like personnel mix throughout this defense. Well, now it doesn't work as good when teams know where you're going to be at all the time.
Right. You need to have 8 NFL draft picks for this team to work, and you get 8 NFL draft picks from these coaches like once every 4 years.
Yeah, it's a small miracle. Like, so I mean, but that's where the frustrating part is. Like,
yeah,
I think that's where the aggravating part for everybody is. They came into the season thinking this was going to be a good team. They, meaning the coaching staff.
They told everyone. They told the media.
They told everybody that this was going to be a good team. And they just really butchered it. I mean, they couldn't have been more wrong. This is as bad a team as I can remember playing football in quite some time.
Adam and Kev, as far as like as bad of a Florida State team as you've seen, whether you want to go in totality or just the offense, like this is in the running to be one of the worst Florida State teams ever of the modern era, correct? In terms of results, I'm not talking about in terms of player talent. Like it's not that. In terms of roster spend, it definitely ain't that. But in terms of what we have to see with our eyes on the field, this is disgusting.
I mean, this is the worst offense I've ever seen play football at Florida State, and I mean, Jeff Bowden was the offensive coordinator that I remember growing up. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a bad. There's not a single thing. So when you design an offense, you design a base play, you design something, right? There is something you do well, and the same goes for defense, right? You say there's something we can hang our hat on, and if we get a good look for this, we are going to hit this play 10 times out of 10 because it is our play.
We have an identity.
We have a player we can turn on. They have no identity. We've said this over and over. They have no identity. Their identity, they thought today was going to be RPOs. That's fine. You can win a lot of football games throwing RPOs. Look at what Lane Kiffin has done in this back half of his career. He runs a ton of RPOs. But like, it doesn't match your personnel. DJ's not the person to do it. Your receivers aren't the people to do it. This is really the crux of everything to me.
Yeah. Good, buddy.
You've recruited like hot garbage in comparison to what FSU should be recruiting.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I was sitting here defending you this whole time because I've thought, well, you talk about culture, you talk about football intelligence, you talk about IQ, you talk about wanting players you can trust, you talk about like you're getting the intangibles that other people are missing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're getting the diamonds in the rough. These guys that like they're
football
players.
Genius, they're guys. They want to be
right.
there.
So yeah, we're not overspending on the 5-star, so we can spend some money bringing in some talent in the transfer portal, and we can build a solid roster of just football. I'm imagining like a team, you know, when you watch those NC State defenses and you just got like these 4 linebackers
Yes.
who just like you could tell were probably 2 stars, but like know the game more than anything.
Aggressive football geniuses, yes.
And you're like, I was imagining at year 5, you've built this foundation of like these 3-star intangible filled players that know what to do and know where to be. And you know what?
With some blue chips sprinkled in, right? Like
With
it's
some
the
blue chips
perfect
sprinkled
build
in.
of both.
It'd be like give NC State some 4-star like 4 and 5-star receivers and cornerbacks and see how they cook, you know, kind of deal. But what we got were players that aren't the most talented by recruiting rankings and who clearly don't know where to be. So like, what were you recruiting? What have you been doing? This is the first year where I believe there's no one. I guess Darius Washington was he recruited by this staff?
No, I think he's a Willie guy, wasn't he? At the very tail end of Willie, yeah.
Is he the only Willie guy we have left?
I don't know when Mo
I mean,
was recruited.
No, Mo's the same.
Okay, well, this is almost entirely
Yeah,
your
it's
roster.
these are all Norvell guys. Honestly, like I get the point you're making. They're all Norvell guys, in my opinion.
They don't know where to be. They don't know. There's missed assignments left and right. They're poorly coached. You sold that these would be kids that would be coachable and moldable and guys you could turn into football players, and you failed them at it, and you failed us at it.
Adam, I think that's a great point. Like this, knowing what we knew about this staff of guys, you knew that maybe you wouldn't get the highest level of talent. I would say you're actually more talented than every single team you played of the 5, and you're 1-4. That is a disgusting fact, and that's something you have to sleep with. But Kevin's point, you've gotten so much less out of these dudes in year 5. Like this should be the pinnacle of your vision of your program. Like I have smart, I have talented, I have guys that are just eat, sleep, breathe football. They're Norvell guys. We talk about the character. It is such a failure of that. To your opinion, Adam, like, is this because it is such a catastrophic failure of what you should be, what you've preached, what you said you are? Can you recover from this? Like, this is so far off, not only from what all the media has said you were going to be, but from what you told the media you were going to be. You're so far off that is this even is this recoverable? Is this a recoverable sin? Or are we just playing out the days until we can both move on?
I mean, it's kind of hard to say that because you just signed him to a massive contract.
Oh, I know financially, but spiritually, you were so far off from the results that you should have with this roster.
I said 3 weeks ago.
Are we just playing out the string, dude?
Man, I said 3 weeks ago, tap out on the season because this is where it was headed. Like it was quite evident.
Oh, the season's dead. I don't. And if we don't want to
know,
get into
Trey.
this
I mean,
conversation, we don't have to.
Say, Trey. I mean, because I get everything that's being said now. Like everything being said now is fair.
Mm-hmm.
But shit, man, 6 months ago or 10 months ago, these weren't the conversations we were having.
Oh, not even close. We're so
like I don't buy that like you could see this coming. I don't buy that you could have predicted this. Like I don't buy that you could. Well, we should have seen this 10 months ago. That
dude,
no, high school recruiting wasn't going to do it. Like all of that is baloney to me. Like it is very evident to me that something happened between December and the beginning of this football season that has made Mike Norvell not be able to coach football successfully anymore.
Not at the level that he was. You're so right because what we thought and what we've seen is so far off that there is a disruptor in the middle. Like,
I think
it's ridiculous.
And like, I don't think any of these coaches are bad. Like, I don't think Adam Fuller's a bad coach. I don't think that Alex Atkins is a bad coach. Like, I don't think Randy Shannon's a bad coach. I don't think Ron Dugan's a bad coach. Like, I think all these guys are good coaches. I just think when you are rudderless, and I think they are rudderless right now. Like, I don't think Mike is leading this team. I don't think he's leading this organization. I think he's saying a lot of really, really cliche and inspiring things when he gets up there at these press conferences, but I don't think he's leading. I don't think he's leading from the front at all. You can't tell me that his actions on the sideline are the same of the man that we've seen the previous 4 seasons. They're completely different. His body language is not the same. His mannerisms are not the same. Nothing is the same. So, I think that there's a lot of really good coaches still here. I don't think they're being held accountable. I don't think they hadn't been held accountable for recruiting. I don't think now they're being held accountable as far as what the product is that they're putting out there. And I think that is seeping in. And I would say now that I don't think you're holding your players accountable anymore either. Like, I think that happened at one point, but I don't think that that's been happening. And now you're seeing that seep into the product on the field. So like, it just feels like you got one big shit sandwich here, and your leader, the man who, Mr. Consistency, the guy who that you put everything behind, he's the chef of that shit sandwich.
It's all starting to creep. All the negative failures, derelictions of duty, it is really all starting to congeal and creep and compile, and the product is the worst Power 5 football team in the country.
Yeah,
I will say that with a bullet. If you can name me a worst Power 5 football team in the country, I'd put your ass up against FSU and say you're wrong. As always, these instant reactions are always a journey because we are so historically bad that we're going to places we are not used to normally going on these 40 to 45-minute journeys after football
just
games.
went 13-0. What are we doing?
I know they were so much easier last year. But anyway, Kev, Adam, do you have anything else that you would like to say before we just go away and all do our own separate things to go?
500 people in here. And
love you guys. I love you so much.
We really appreciate you guys.
Poor bastards.
We're not going
the
away.
highest yards per play on this season.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, congrats.
All right. Guys, we love you. I'm not going to give you platitudes. I respect your intelligence too much. It's bad. It's horrible.
It ain't getting
it's
any better.
some of the worst it's ever been. And based on what we saw tonight, it ain't getting any better. However, if you want to have somebody to be there with you, this guy and this guy are going to be here with you, us three in the trenches. It is tough. We love you. We are going to be here. Keep chopping because you got nothing else to do. See you later. You poor